There's a simple trick sitting right in your yard that can take hard, lifeless dirt and transform it into rich, dark, crumbly soil in just a matter of weeks. No expensive inputs, no waiting years, no mystery powders or bottled products. The secret is right under your feet every time you mow the lawn or rake the yard, grass clippings and leaves. When handled correctly, this combination becomes one of the fastest soil-building engines you can use. Stay with me here, because once you understand how these two common materials work together, you'll never look at yard waste the same way again. This isn't just about making compost, it's about activating a living system that breathes life back into the soil. One of the biggest challenges gardeners face when making compost or improving soil directly is balancing carbon and nitrogen. Grass clippings alone are packed with nitrogen, running ratios anywhere from 12:1 to 20:1 depending on moisture content. That means they break down quickly, heat up fast, and feed microbes, but on their own they can turn into a slimy, stinking mess. Leaves, especially when dried, swing the other way. Their carbon-to-nitrogen ratio can range from 40:1 to as high as 80:1. They decompose slowly, sometimes matting into layers that repel water. When you combine the two, you strike a balance that compost scientists call the sweet spot, somewhere around 25:1 to 30:1. That's the range where microbes thrive, where decomposition speeds up, and where organic matter transforms into stable humus. This is why mixing 1 part green grass clippings with about 3 parts shredded leaves creates a blend that heats up but doesn't collapse into sludge, and it cools down but doesn't stall into dry mats. The two wastes cancel out each other's weaknesses and unlock each other's potential. If your goal is fast compost, the method is pretty straightforward, but, it does require some attention to layering and moisture. Start with a base of shredded leaves about 4 to 6 inches thick. Then, add a thinner layer of grass clippings on top, no more than 2 inches thick, and just repeat the process like you're building a lasagna. A full pile should ideally measure at least 3 feet wide and 3 feet tall, so that it can retain enough heat to drive microbial activity. Water each layer lightly as you build. The pile should feel like a wrung-out sponge, moist but not dripping. If you notice strong ammonia smells after a few days, it means the pile is too heavy in grass. You can correct this by turning the pile and adding another layer of dry leaves. If the pile looks dry and stalled, add more clippings or even a watering can of diluted compost tea to kickstart microbial activity. Not everyone wants to run a compost pile, and the good news is, you don't have to. Grass and leaves can also be used directly in your beds to build soil in place, saving labor and speeding results. One of the most effective methods is sheet mulching. Lay down a 2-inch layer of fresh grass clippings directly on the soil, then cover it with a 3 to 4-inch layer of shredded leaves. The grass begins releasing nitrogen immediately, while the leaves act as a carbon blanket, preventing the clippings from drying out or smelling. Together, they create a living mulch that feeds soil organisms right where you need it. For compacted or nutrient-poor beds, a trench method can be even more powerful. Dig a shallow trench about 6 inches deep, lay in alternating layers of grass and leaves, then cover with soil. Ratios matter here. 2 buckets of leaves to 1 bucket of grass works best to avoid nitrogen burn while still feeding microbes heavily. Water the trench before covering, and within 3 to 4 weeks the material will collapse into a soft, humus-rich pocket. This works particularly well for heavy clay soils. The fibrous texture of leaves helps break apart compaction, while grass introduces fast nitrogen that jumpstarts microbial populations. Gardeners working sandy soils will find that the resulting humus adds a sponge-like capacity for holding both water and nutrients. Trench layering is essentially composting underground, and because it takes place right in the bed, the soil community benefits immediately. Whether you compost above ground or bury the materials, the speed of transformation depends heavily on moisture and oxygen. Too much water, and the mix goes anaerobic. Too little, and decomposition slows to a crawl. Grass clippings with their dense, wet texture can easily smother microbial life if not balanced with leaf matter. This is why shredding or chopping leaves before mixing makes a dramatic difference. Smaller pieces expose more surface area and allow air to circulate, creating ideal conditions for bacteria, fungi, and actinomycetes to flourish. If you don't have a shredder, Even running over a pile of dry leaves with a lawnmower can break them down enough to prevent matting. As for aeration, turning a compost pile every week or loosening a trench with a garden fork after 2 weeks provides enough oxygen to keep microbes thriving. When everything is in balance, decomposition is so rapid that in warm climates, you can see finished material forming in under 2 months. The beauty of using these two materials isn't just how fast they break down, it's what they attract. Grass feeds bacteria first, which multiply explosively and release a flush of nutrients. Leaves bring in fungi, which knit the soil together and build stable humus. The balance between bacterial and fungal feeders creates an environment where protozoa, nematodes, and earthworms all show up in sequence, each unlocking more fertility. This cascading effect is why gardeners often notice earthworms arriving in droves under a mulch of grass and leaves. The worms aren't attracted to the raw materials themselves, but to the microbial activity exploding around them. Over time, their casts enrich the soil even further, compounding the fertility created by decomposition. To give you clear starting points, think of the ratios this way. For a compost pile, 3 parts leaves to 1 part grass creates a steady, balanced breakdown. For sheet mulching, aim for 2 inches of grass under 3 to 4 inches of shredded leaves. For trench layering, 2 buckets of leaves mixed with 1 bucket of grass works best. Timelines vary with climate and season, but under warm, moist conditions, a compost pile can deliver usable humus in 4 to 6 weeks. Sheet mulching can show results in 2 to 3 weeks, and trench layering can transform soil texture in as little as a month. Even in cooler weather, these methods work faster than most traditional composting because the materials are already balanced at the microbial sweet spot. What most people treat as waste is actually the perfect system for creating life in the soil. Every lawn mowing, every autumn raking, is an opportunity to feed the underground network that turns dirt into soil. You don't need to buy special amendments or ship in exotic inputs. By using grass and leaves in the right proportions, you're giving soil biology everything it needs to thrive. This method is fast, it's free, and it's repeatable every season. And once you see how quickly lifeless soil responds, loosening, darkening, filling with worms, you'll realize that the simplest solutions are often the most powerful. Grass and leaves aren't waste. They're the raw materials of a living soil system that can feed your garden for years to come. If this guide has shown you how to turn ordinary yard scraps into extraordinary soil builders, don't let the secret stop here. Subscribe to Hydrohaven for more deep dives into the hidden science of soil, and share this video with gardeners who are ready to stop wasting and start building. The path to living soil is right under your feet. Grass and leaves are all you need.